Have you ever finished a raid in Mistfall Hunter and immediately thought, if I had known that 5 minutes ago, I'd still have all my gear? If you have, don't worry, every player has been there. Mistfall Hunter looks simple when you first start. You load into a raid, kill a few monsters, grab some loot, and head for extraction. But after a few matches, you quickly realize there's a lot more going on beneath the surface. The players who seem to progress incredibly fast usually aren't better because they have amazing aim. They're better because they understand the game. They know what loot is actually valuable, when to fight, when to leave, and how to avoid the mistakes that new players make over and over again. I definitely made those mistakes when I started. I stayed in raids for too long, brought gear I couldn't afford to lose, ignored important sounds, and chased fights that I had no business taking. Looking back, there are so many things I wish someone had told me from day one. So in this video, I'm sharing 25 tips I wish I knew before playing Mistfall Hunter. Whether you've just installed the game or you've already put in a few hours, these tips will help you survive more raids, make more money, and improve much faster. Let's jump into the first tip. Tip number 1. Your goal isn't to kill everyone. This is probably the biggest mindset change new players need to make. Mistfall Hunter is an extraction game, not a battle royale. Your objective isn't to eliminate every player you see. Your objective is to leave the raid alive with valuable loot. A lot of beginners see another player and instantly think, I have to fight them. But ask yourself one simple question. What do I actually gain from this fight? If your inventory is already full of valuable loot, fighting another player could easily turn a successful raid into a complete disaster. Sometimes the smartest decision is to let another player walk right past you. Winning doesn't always mean getting kills. Sometimes, winning simply means extracting safely. Once I started thinking this way, my survival rate improved almost immediately. Tip number 2, greed gets you killed. This tip is connected to the first one. Let's say you've had an amazing raid. You found great gear. Your inventory is almost full. You've already made a nice profit. Then you think, I'll just check one more room. 5 minutes later, you're dead. Every extraction game punishes greed, and Mistfall Hunter is no different. There will always be another chest, another elite enemy, another opportunity to make money. But if you're already carrying enough loot to make the raid worthwhile, don't be afraid to head for extraction. One successful raid is always better than losing everything because you got greedy. Tip number 3, audio is more important than graphics. A lot of players spend time adjusting graphics settings to get the game looking perfect. But one setting matters even more. Your audio. Sound is one of the strongest sources of information in Mistfall Hunter. Footsteps, combat, doors opening, spells being cast, monsters getting attacked. These sounds tell you exactly what's happening around you, even if you can't see it. If you're playing with speakers, consider switching to a decent pair of headphones. The difference is huge. Many fights can actually be avoided simply because you heard another team before they ever saw you. Information wins games, and audio gives you plenty of it. Tip number 4, learn one hunter before switching. Mistfall Hunter offers multiple hunters, and it's tempting to try every single one as soon as you unlock them. I did exactly that, and honestly, it slowed my progress. Every hunter has different abilities, cooldowns, attack ranges, and playstyles. If you're constantly switching characters, you're constantly relearning the basics. Instead, pick one hunter that feels fun to play and stick with them for a while. Learn exactly how far your attacks reach. Learn when to use your abilities. Learn your strongest combos. Once those mechanics become automatic, switching to other hunters becomes much easier because you'll already understand the game's fundamentals. Master one before trying to master them all. Tip number 5, not every fight is worth taking. This might sound obvious, but it's something almost everyone ignores. Imagine you hear another player fighting an elite monster. You have two choices. You can rush in immediately, or you can wait. If they're already fighting a difficult enemy, chances are they're going to use healing items, abilities, and maybe even take a lot of damage. Patience can create a huge advantage. On the other hand, if you hear multiple players fighting and you're carrying valuable loot, maybe the best decision is to walk in the opposite direction. You don't have to be part of every battle happening on the map. Choosing your fights is one of the biggest skills in Mistfall Hunter. Tip number 6, stop filling your inventory with junk. When I first started playing, I picked up everything. Literally everything. If it had an icon, it went into my inventory. That worked, until I found something actually valuable. Then I had to stop and waste time deciding what to throw away. Instead, learn which items are worth keeping. As you gain experience, you'll quickly recognize which materials sell well, which resources are useful for crafting, and which items are better left behind. Your inventory space is limited. Treat every slot like it's valuable, because it is. Tip number 7. Healing early is better than healing late. One mistake almost every beginner makes is waiting until they're nearly dead before using healing items. The problem is that fights don't always end when you think they will. Maybe another player hears the combat. Maybe another group of monsters joins the fight. Maybe an elite enemy lands one unexpected attack. Suddenly, that healing item you were saving becomes impossible to use. Instead, build the habit of healing after every major fight. Ask yourself, if another player attacked me right now, would I survive? If the answer is no, heal. Being prepared is much better than hoping nothing happens. Tip number 8. Learn the map instead of following the crowd. One of the fastest ways to improve isn't getting better gear. It's learning the map. Experienced players know where valuable loot spawns. They know common ambush locations. They know the safest routes to extraction. And they know where players usually travel during each stage of the raid. You don't need to memorize everything overnight. Instead, every raid should teach you something new. Maybe you discover a shortcut. Maybe you find a hidden chest. Maybe you notice an area that's always crowded. Those little pieces of knowledge add up over time. Eventually, you'll stop wandering aimlessly and start moving with confidence. And that's when the game really starts to feel different. Tip number 9. Stop sprinting everywhere. Here's a mistake I didn't even realize I was making for my first few hours. I sprinted everywhere. The second I spawned into a raid, I was running from room to room, trying to loot as fast as possible. The problem is that sprinting makes you predictable. It creates noise, drains your stamina, and if another player hears you first, you've already given away your position before the fight even begins. Sometimes slowing down is actually faster in the long run. Walk when you're approaching high-value loot areas. Pause before entering a new room. Listen for footsteps or combat. Those extra few seconds can save you from walking straight into an ambush. Think of every raid like exploring enemy territory. You don't always want everyone to know exactly where you are. Tip number 10. Always have an escape plan. Most beginners only think about one thing. How do I get into this fight? Experienced players think about something completely different. How do I get out if this goes badly? Before you attack another player, clear an elite monster, or open a valuable chest, take a quick look around. Where's your nearest piece of cover? Which doorway can you retreat through? Is there another path if someone cuts you off? Having an escape route already in your mind makes it much easier to stay calm under pressure. A lot of players panic simply because they never plan for things to go wrong. Tip number 11. Cooldowns are your biggest resource. New players usually focus on health. Experienced players pay attention to cooldowns. Your abilities are often what decide a fight. Using your strongest skill to kill a weak enemy might feel satisfying. But what happens if another player appears 10 seconds later? Now you're fighting without your best tools. Before using an important ability, ask yourself, do I actually need this? Sometimes a few basic attacks are all it takes. Save your powerful skills for moments that really matter. Managing your cooldowns well is one of the easiest ways to become a much stronger player. Tip number 12. Watch other players before you attack. One of the biggest advantages you can have is information. If another player hasn't noticed you yet, don't immediately reveal yourself. Take a few seconds to observe. Are they fighting monsters? Are they low on health? Do they seem to be alone? Are they heavily geared? Maybe they're heading toward extraction. Maybe they're about to walk into another enemy. The more information you gather, the better your decision will be. Patience often creates opportunities that aggression never will. Tip number 13. Don't be afraid to leave empty-handed. This sounds strange, but hear me out. Sometimes a raid just doesn't go your way. Maybe the loot isn't great. Maybe you spawned in a dangerous area. Maybe another squad is controlling the best part of the map. A lot of players force themselves to stay because they don't want to waste the raid. But staying in a bad situation usually makes things worse. Extracting with a small profit is always better than dying while chasing a bigger one. Not every raid has to be amazing. Consistency is what builds your stash over time. Tip number 14. Your gear doesn't make you invincible. It's easy to feel confident when you're wearing rare equipment. Maybe you've finally put together your best loadout. Maybe you spent a lot of gold getting it. That confidence is good. Overconfidence isn't. Better gear gives you an advantage, but it doesn't guarantee victory. A smarter player with cheaper equipment can still outplay you through positioning, timing, and better decision-making. Never assume you've already won because your armor is better. Respect every fight. That's how you keep your expensive gear instead of donating it to someone else. Tip number 15. Every death is free information. Nobody likes losing gear. It can be frustrating, especially after a long raid. But instead of immediately jumping into the next match, take a minute to think about what happened. Ask yourself, why did I die? Did I overstay? Did I ignore footsteps? Did I waste my abilities? Did I rush a fight I didn't need to take? Every death teaches you something. If you keep making the same mistake over and over again, you'll stay stuck. The fastest improving players aren't the ones who never die. They're the ones who learn something every single time they do. Tip number 16. Don't tunnel vision during fights. This one is incredibly common. You're fighting another player, and suddenly nothing else exists. You chase them around corners. You ignore your surroundings. You stop paying attention to audio. Then, another team arrives, or monsters start attacking you from behind, or your opponent's teammate appears out of nowhere. Always remember that the raid keeps going while you're fighting. Every few seconds, quickly check your surroundings. Listen for new sounds. Look behind you. A fight is never just about the person standing in front of you. Situational awareness wins more fights than perfect aim. Tip number 17. Know when the raid has already been won. This might be the most valuable tip in the entire video. Sometimes, you've already won. You have valuable loot. You're healthy. Your inventory is full. You know where extraction is. At that moment, ask yourself one simple question. What am I still here for? If the answer is just, maybe I'll find something even better, it's probably time to leave. One of the biggest differences between beginners and experienced players is knowing when enough is enough. The best players don't extract because they're scared. They extract because they know how to protect their progress. Building wealth in Mistfall Hunter isn't about having one incredible raid. It's about surviving dozens of good ones. Tip number 18. Don't rush into every new area. One of the easiest ways to get caught off guard is by running straight into a room without checking what's inside. Take a second before entering. Look around. Listen for movement. See if monsters are already dead, because if they are, another player may have passed through recently. If you hear fighting nearby, don't immediately join in. Let the situation develop first. Sometimes waiting just a few seconds gives you all the information you need to decide whether it's worth going in or turning around. Being patient doesn't make you slow. It makes you harder to kill. Tip number 19. Manage your stamina like it's health. A lot of players only pay attention to their health bar. But your stamina is just as important. If you use all of your stamina sprinting or attacking, you may not have enough left to dodge an incoming attack or escape when another player appears. Think of stamina as an emergency resource. Always try to leave yourself enough to react if something unexpected happens. Running out of stamina at the wrong moment can lose you a fight before it even starts. The best players are always thinking one step ahead. Tip number 20. Learn from better players. One of the fastest ways to improve isn't actually playing more. It's watching players who are already better than you. Pay attention to how they move around the map. Notice when they decide to fight, and, more importantly, when they decide not to. Watch how they manage their inventory, use their abilities, and position themselves during PvP encounters. You'll often learn strategies that would have taken dozens of hours to figure out on your own. You don't need to copy everything they do. But borrowing good habits can dramatically speed up your improvement. Tip number 21. Build good habits early. Small habits don't seem important at first, but after 50 or 100 raids, they make a huge difference. For example, always reload or prepare before entering a dangerous area. Always heal after a tough fight. Always check your surroundings before looting. But together, they make you a much more consistent player. They've lost expensive gear. They've failed extractions. They've learned the maps through experience. Progress in Mistfall Hunter isn't measured by how quickly you become amazing. It's measured by whether you're improving compared to yesterday. Focus on your own progress, not someone else's highlight reel. Tip number 23. Experiment without risking everything. Trying new hunters, different weapons, or unusual strategies is one of the best ways to learn. But don't do it while wearing your most expensive equipment. If you want to experiment, use a cheaper loadout. That way, if things don't go according to plan, the loss won't hurt nearly as much. Many experienced players have practice loadouts specifically for this reason. It allows them to improve without putting all of their hard-earned gear on the line. Learning is important. Going broke while learning isn't. Tip number 24. Every raid doesn't need to be perfect. Some raids will be incredible. You'll find amazing loot, win every fight, and extract without taking much damage. Other raids will be complete disasters. That's normal. Don't expect perfection. Extraction games are designed to have highs and lows. Instead of judging yourself based on one raid, look at your results over time. If you're making more money than you're losing. If you're surviving more often than you did last week. If you're becoming more confident with each hunter, then you're improving. Consistency always beats perfection. Tip number 25. The most valuable resource is experience. And finally, the last tip. No item in Mistfall Hunter is more valuable than experience. You can lose gold. You can lose legendary gear. You can lose an entire inventory of valuable loot. But every raid teaches you something. Maybe you learned a safer route. Maybe you recognized a new enemy attack pattern. Maybe you realized you stayed too long. Maybe you discovered a better way to approach PvP. Those lessons stay with you forever. Gear comes and goes. Knowledge doesn't. The more you play with the mindset of learning instead of simply winning, the faster you'll improve, and eventually, the victories will come naturally. Final thoughts. Mistfall Hunter is one of those games where knowledge is just as powerful as mechanical skill. You don't need perfect aim to become successful. You don't need the rarest gear. And you definitely don't need to win every fight. What you do need is patience, smart decision-making, and the willingness to learn from every raid. If you can avoid the mistakes we've covered today, you'll already be ahead of a huge number of new players. Remember, the goal isn't to become the best overnight. The goal is to improve a little with every match. Those small improvements add up, and before long you'll notice that the raids which once felt overwhelming now feel completely under control. And those were 25 Mistfall Hunter tips I wish I knew before I started playing. If even one of these tips helps you survive your next raid, then this video has done its job. If you have your own tip that every beginner should know, leave it in the comments below. I'd love to see what strategies you've discovered, and it might help someone else who's just getting started. If you enjoyed this guide, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications because I'll be covering more Mistfall Hunter guides, class builds, PvP tips, loot routes, patch updates, and everything you need to stay ahead as the game continues to grow. Thanks for watching, good luck in your next raid, and I'll see you in the next video.